Hi, hello everyone. It's great that you could join us this afternoon for our first session in the new year. Like me and Robin were just mentioning right now, that it's great that we could start off with an essential guide to using AI safely and purposefully. My goodness. Um, but yeah, hopefully with the technology evolving so quickly in 2025, it'll be interesting to see what's coming up for 2026. And it's definitely a great way of kicking off the topic. So if you're joining us for the first time, or if you've joined us before, how typically the sessions run is that Robin will take over with the presentation. You're more than welcome to leave any questions in the chat, and then I can read them out for Robin, or Robin, if you pick them up yourself, more than happy to as we go. But in terms of who Robin is, she is our in-house expert with one of our colleges. She helps organizations as well as individuals upskill in anything AI. And in terms of who we are, so OxPE AI Exchange is a webinar series that an organization called Oxford Professional Education hosts. We have colleges in management, marketing, procurement, as well as an apprenticeship branch of the organization, and we're here to help with any upskilling needs. We do have qualifications in AI. I'll be happy to touch on this towards the end, but otherwise, more than happy to pass it on to you, Robin.
I know for the first one in 2026, I've been so excited because it's literally been like 4 weeks since we last did one. So I've been thinking about this ever since I put down the Quality Street tin and kind of refocused back in on work after kind of Christmas. So welcome. Today, we're going to be looking at the essential guide to using AI safely and purposefully. And this is kind of our AI 101. We're going back to basics. We're making sure we've got all that foundational knowledge because the next couple of sessions that we've got really build on the kind of foundational understanding of AI and what it can do, how we need to work with it, and kind of where its relevance is when it actually comes to using AI within our day-to-day, our systems, our organizations. So that is where we're at. As Daniela said, I love when you interrupt me and I love when you join in. So there's a section today where I'm going to be asking you questions and I need you to kind of give me your thoughts on that. So Daniela will help me to do that. But if you have any questions, because we only have the hour and then the next session that we do will be different than this one, I'd like to make sure that you get all that information before we move on. So let's get started. So I want to start by saying something what I think is important and hopefully is reassuring. And that is if you feel unsure about AI, you are unsure what it does, how it works, you're not behind. You're incredibly normal because AI didn't arrive with a handbook. This technology has swept through our systems, our organizations, the platforms that we work within, the way that we talk about workflows, processes, outputs, generative content. And it's arrived through these updates, these new features, these half-explained tools that suddenly just appeared in things that we were already using. So realistically, most people were never given the space to stop and ask, what is this actually doing? When should I use it? When shouldn't I use it? What different types of technology power this? So I recognize that realistically, we've all been curious, we've been interested, but actually, this has brought a lot of overwhelm and a lot of fear that we're just supposed to accept this technology for what it is. Yeah. But in this webinar, we're going to be kind of talking about realistically, I'm not going to make you an expert by the end of today, but we're going to go through all the foundations and I'm going to give you a clear, solid footing so that every other OxPE AI exchange you come to, you've got that foundational knowledge for us to build on. But also when you're experiencing this in real life in the big wide world, you understand what is truly going on with these different kind of changes. For following on from my first point about AI not arriving with a handbook, when do you think AI will be comprehensively regulated? Ooh, that's a big question, Nick. I'll talk about it now before we kind of move over, because realistically, this technology was implemented with no true regulation. Yeah, so we're fighting a losing battle because the technology is advancing and we're still trying to regulate the first version of this technology that comes in. So there is going to be a real push in 2026, 2027 to get some clear foundational regulation in. You'll see that GDPR and things like that have already started to bring in terminology about AI, but it's not quite perfect yet. But it will get there. We have to have regulations about this, and you'll see why in this kind of webinar. So what I want to start with is I want to talk to you what AI really is, because if I ask my mum, she thinks it's ChatGPT, and she thinks it's this magical kind of all-encompassing personality that is almost like her best friend. She's even gave him like a name. If you ask my nan thinks it's a sentient robot. And if you ask people that I work with, they think it is ultimately potentially magic, right? Because we don't actually know the boundaries of what it actually does. Yeah, we haven't been told that. And good marketing has also made us think that AI can do so many different things. And actually, we've been able to do this for a long time, or it's actually just automation, just with this new fancy kind of technological terminology over the top of it. So before we actually move on to how we use it well, what it does, how we implement it, we need to strip away all these myths. Yeah, there's actually a full session on AI myths, which is on the YouTube. And a lot of confusion comes from the fact that AI is often talked about as if it's a thing. Yeah, it's a thing, when really it's technology with very specific strengths and limits. Yeah. So what is AI? AI is a pattern recognition system. Yeah. Modern AI, the AI that we interact with, what we see in ChatGPT, it looks for patterns, yeah, in large amounts of data. It learns relationships between words, images, numbers, and actions. And the way it generates us an answer is it gives us the most probability, the most highest probability of what comes next. So that's why tools like ChatGPT can continue a sentence, summarize a document, suggest ideas, but they're not thinking. Yeah, they're really not. I promise you, even though it looks so good that it feels that way, they're just making highly informed predictions based on patterns that they've learned. Yeah. So technically, what is happening is because AI has kind of gobbled up all of this data within its training, that system adjusts to billions of parameters to reduce errors in its predictions. So over time, it understands that the next word in its output needs to be the 12th. Yeah, because of all the data that it has access to. And it becomes very good at spotting structure in this kind of messy kind of system. So that is where we're going to start. AI is a pattern recognition system, and it is not a thing. It is technology with strengths and weaknesses. It is a probability engine. AI doesn't actually decide because it doesn't know the right answer. You may be going, well, if I ask it, what is 2 + 2? It'll tell me it's 4. Yeah, because in the data that it has access to, the highest probability it can find to that answer is 4. Yeah. It calculates the most likely response based on the context of what you give it and the parameters of the data it has been trained upon or has access to. It doesn't know if the answer is right. What it is doing is giving you the most probable answer to conclude your question. So this is why AI can sound super confident even when it's wrong. A lot of AI systems like ChatGPT, their sole purpose is to give you an answer. So if it can't find the right information, or it hasn't got enough information to give you the highest probable answer, it hallucinates. It fills in the gaps because it's optimized for plausibility rather than truth. So language models generate outputs by assigning probabilities to the possible next word or action, and then it chooses the best one. That is why if we all type in, please give me a LinkedIn post about business leadership, we will all get the same kind of thing with the rocket emoji, no hype, no rubbish kind of terminology, because over time, within its data set, that is the most probable thing it wants you, it expects you to want from that question. So the best output is actually the most statistical. It may not be the most accurate or potentially ethical. So that's something to think about when we look at what AI really is. And AI is a support. I know we see a lot of things about replacement and a lot of disruption when it comes to AI being brought into the workplace, but AI is a tool. Yeah, it helps us to do things faster, analyze better, explore quicker, but it works best when paired with human judgment. A hammer is a great thing. It does amazing things that I can't do, but it needs me to be able to facilitate the use of that tool. That is exactly where we're at with AI. Leagues into the future, I can't say, but right now, we don't have super intelligent AI. We don't have AI that can kind of not exist with the parameters of us. Because AI systems don't understand things like goals, consequences, or values. So we provide the intent, and then this tool executes and accelerates our output within that frame. So as you can see, AI is a support. So that is what it really is. Yeah, stripping back all of the good marketing that exists within AI washing and all that kind of stuff. That is what it truly is. And what it isn't, but you might get started to be confused by the terminology that is used there and how we talk about it. Like we do talk about ChatGPT as almost like a sentient being. We say thank you, we say please. But realistically, AI is not conscious or self-aware in the tools that we have access to, like in kind of platforms and things like that. Doesn't understand meaning, intent, or emotion, even if it kind of sounds like it does. Yeah. There's no awareness behind the response. It has no feeling, no guilt, no kind of pride in the response that it gives, no opinions, just probability, and no understanding of right or wrong. Because what this matters, because when we attribute intelligence or intent to AI, we overtrust it. Yeah. We defer judgment. We lose responsibility and liability. And we also treat outputs as authoritative when we shouldn't. So that is something that we truly need to recognize. Yeah. No conscious, no self-aware. It also isn't particularly neutral or objective. And what I mean by that is the model itself is not created in a biased way, but AI reflects the data it is trained upon. This includes its gaps, its biases, its assumptions. Yeah. So if the input data we give it access to, or it's been trained upon, is biased, outdated, incomplete, what will your outputs be statistically? Because it is a probability machine. They will be biased, outdated, and incomplete. Yeah. And technically, this is because the models learn from historical data, and we can't distinguish between good patterns or problematic ones unless humans actively guide, test, and constrain them. I don't know if you saw the Amazon hiring model. They were like, oh, this is going to make our hiring really, really quick. It automatically omitted women from moving forward because all of the data it had been trained on were successful men within the IT sector. Very outdated recruitment data. So we can see that AI isn't actually neutral objective, even though it was designed to be that due to the data that we have access to. A lot of data on the internet is male dominated, and that is one of the biggest resources that AI has for its data sets. It's also not a replacement for expertise or responsibility. And I say that because a lot of people have caught themselves in a bit of hot water by using the outputs of AI by stating things like, yeah, but AI said it was right. AI gave this response. It can't take responsibility. Yeah. So if something goes wrong, accountability always sits with the human or organization using the tool. So this is where ethical, legal, professional risk actually comes in, especially in areas like education, healthcare, marketing, HR, leadership. So pretty much everywhere, right? So I want to, before we move on, the key thing I want you to take away is that AI is not magic. It is not human, and it's not a shortcut when we think about thinking overall. But what it is, it's a powerful pattern tool that becomes genuinely valuable when we understand, us humans, understand its limits and its use. Yeah. That understanding, not necessarily the technical skills to understand or implement AI, is actually the foundation of responsible AI use. Yeah. So when I kind of go through this, the definition is that artificial intelligence actually refers to computer systems designed to perform tasks that normally require human intelligence, such as recognizing patterns, understanding language, analyzing information, and making predictions. It learns from data rather than following fixed handwritten rules. Now, the marketing around AI, the hype around AI has given AI a human feel, a personality, and a kind of intensity it doesn't actually have. And the fact that we are now able to access so many things that are AI powered, it's a huge impact on how we feel about it. If you're actually saying thank you, please, can you, thank you so much, that was wonderful to ChatGPT, you're actually making your output worse because each of those letters, those words are broken down into tokenization. And the more tokenization that's in your question, the less good ChatGPT is at actually creating your output. But because it speaks to us like we speak to it, we try and enforce our kind of feelings around communication and connection onto it. Whereas actually, the definition is pretty boring. Do you agree with me? That the definition is actually, well, okay, it's just a piece of tech. And that's great. But the power in this comes from actually knowing what we can actually do with it. That's the key change here that we need to change our mindset about. So we're already using it. And I promise you, the definite, like the things that I'll talk to you about now, you already know, you've experienced in this. Yeah, I'll come back to that, Nick, in a second. So we're already using it. I promise you that these two things that I'm going to talk to you about this, you will literally already be using within any organization. If you use Microsoft or Gmail, your organization will automatically have given you access to Copilot or Gemini. Yeah. So we're already seeing AI use within emails, documents, and admin support. So we're seeing it in our email suggestions, our grammar checks, our summaries, our auto-generated meeting notes, our calendar scheduling. And the tech that sits behind that is natural language processing. So AI is analyzing text patterns to predict useful next words, summaries, or actions. So now you understand it's a probability machine. You understand how it is bringing those kind of responses to you. It's a great impact. This is where AI should be used. Less time spent on repetitive drafting, faster responses, cleaner communication. reduce cognitive load for routine tasks. I hate dealing with my inbox. The fact that I can go boop and Gemini tells me exactly what I need to do. Glorious. I will never go back. Yeah. And AI is supporting it and allows us to use this technology because it acts as that first draft or the organizing layer. So we can help to start to be faster. But again, we retain responsibility. And you also have to think about things like tone, accuracy, and the decisions that we are making based upon that AI iterance, that AI change. Yeah. We're also seeing it in our analysis, our insights and recommendations. So you'll see that in dashboards, CRM recommendations, performance summaries, forecasting tools. And the tech behind that is machine learning models. So this analyzes large data sets to identify patterns, correlations, and anomalies. And the impact, faster insights, better informed decisions, earlier visibility of risks and opportunities. So AI is supporting this because it narrows our field of attention. It points us toward what it thinks matters towards us, but it doesn't decide what to do next. Yeah, we still have these human interaction. So that's kind of like at work. But from like a consumer point of view, we're seeing it all the time. We will have been exposed to this far longer than we have been able to access these tools for work and ChatGPT. So recommendations and personalization. So we see it in Netflix, our streaming suggestions, that's all AI powered. Online shopping recommendations, social feeds, our news ordering, how we're delivered global news. And these systems use our past behavior, our data, and similar user patterns to give us what we might want next. Yeah. So the impact for us is we get less searching, more relevance, faster discovery, and highly personalized experiences, which I love. I don't have to go and find things. Great things find me. And AI is supporting that because AI filters overwhelming choice into manageable options, but it can also reinforce habits or biases. Like, for example, I wear a lot of like white, gold, and silver. I don't wear yellow. So if I go onto the Pandora website, I am only fed that because of my data and my kind of user history. But what if I'm looking for a gift? Yeah. What if I'm looking for someone who likes yellow gold? Yeah. It can cause an issue both ways, but we're seeing it a lot in this kind of way. We also get it through our kind of assistance and automation. So voice assistant, smart home kind of devices, and that's a mix of different AI models. But again, time saved, reduction in friction in daily tasks, increased convenience and safety. And that is because AI reacts faster than humans to changing data, handling micro decisions so we can focus on the bigger things. So as you can see, again, we're not replacing people, but it's removing chug work, groundwork, yeah? And when AI is used well, it supports us by speeding up routine, surfacing insights sooner, and reducing cognitive overload. So when you start to see what AI is truly good at and where it is truly making the kind of impact to us in our life, that's how we start to use AI intentionally rather than passively. And that's the difference. Yeah, that's the big difference. A lot of people and organizations have whacked in so much AI powered nonsense that actually we're not using AI in the best way. And we're probably actually opening ourselves up to a lot of compliance issues because there are a lot of things we need to think about when it comes to safe and responsible use of AI. Who has seen online companies getting in trouble for sharing personal data? One of the earliest things, if you remember, was a poor little junior developer at Ericsson pasting in company secrets and code into one of the first open versions of ChatGPT, which meant that a developer in Samsung could go, "What are Ericsson working on?" And it pulls that information in straight to that competitor. And you may not understand the technology perfectly well, but actually, when we think about safe and responsible use of AI, it often comes back to the data and the limitations of this technology. So there's kind of 5 key principles that you need to use to help protect your data, reduce risk, and maintain trust. Yeah. As soon as we fall out of love with this technology, as soon as we get burnt with this technology, we start to lose that connection to this wonderful thing. So the first thing is to protect your sensitive and personal data. Oh yeah, Penny, we'll come to that as well. But protect your sensitive and personal data. The principle here is don't share anything with AI tools that you would not be comfortable sharing outside of your organization. Depending on the tool, depending on if you pay for it, depending on how it is set up, you could be giving your data to train that model. So what that means is if I then go like, oh, how does Penny do this? Or how does Nick do this? I could get that information because it is public knowledge. Yeah. So avoid pasting personal data, treat AI prompts like emails. So assume that they could be seen or they are logged, and use approved secure tools where possible. AI systems don't forget in the way that we forget. So data handling, storage, and training policies vary, and responsibility for data protection, who does it sit with? Sits with us, not the tool. Yeah. What I also want you to do is assume AI can be wrong, because I don't want you to lose your critical thinking. Yeah. And I also want you to recognize that the answer you get is just the most probable. It may not be the most accurate. So AI outputs are actually what are classed as suggestions. They are never classed as facts because it is a probability machine. So what that means is we need to verify important information before we use it. Be very cautious with statistics, legal claims, or authoritative sounding advice, because if it can't find the information, it will hallucinate. It will fill that gap for you. Use AI as a starting point, not a final answer. Yeah. So as I said, AI generates responses based on probability, not truth. It doesn't understand truth. And confidence in tone does not equal accuracy when it comes to AI. The next thing is you need to watch for bias and blind spots. So AI reflects the data it was trained on. So what this means in practice is that question assumptions in AI generated content. Is that actually a reflection of now? Yeah. Is it a old fashioned? Is it a gender biased? Is it a culturally inept response? So we need to make sure that we're looking for missing perspectives or stereotypes, and be careful in people related contexts, evaluation, recruitment, education. Unchecked bias can quietly reinforce unfair outcomes, even when intentions are good. Yeah. So keep wondering, keep questioning, because what you're also going to do then, especially if you pay for something like ChatGPT, is you're also teaching the model how you want your kind of responses to be. So if you're always like, actually, no, I want a deeper thing with this kind of reflection, here's some information on that, the model will then start to expect that, and it can start to then ask you for that extra information. But it can't do that if you just take the base response that you get with your login, right? Keep yourself in the loop. So don't allow AI to make a decision and then do the thing. AI supports judgment. It does not replace it. Humans make the final decision. AI drafts, it summarizes, and it suggests. People approve or act. Yeah. Clear accountability stays with individuals and organizations. Trust breaks down when responsibility is unclear. So keeping humans in control protects both the people and the systems. Yeah. I also want you to be super, super clear about when you use AI. No one cares if you do. Yeah. There's some sort of weird shame blanket that we carry around where if we've created the copy for our website, we're not willing to say that in our AI use policy or just mention it on the website. We need to use it openly and appropriately. And that means being honest about when AI has been used to support work. You need to follow your guidelines, whether that be organizationally or professionally. You've put some in. And avoid presenting AI generated work as fully human created. Yeah. Did anyone see the Willy Wonka catastrophe that was last year? All of the AI generated images, all of the AI wonderful, this is what you're going to experience. And then they got there and it was a warehouse with three actors and like two like colored sheets or whatever it was. Expectation versus reality can be the biggest issue when it comes to using AI and presenting AI as your own work, realistically. So responsible AI use isn't about fear or restriction. I never want you to feel that you can't use this technology, but I want it to now be about intention, awareness, and accountability. When people understand the risks, when we understand the limits, we can use it confidently. Of course, not compromising data, fairness, or trust. Now I've got I think 4 or 5 different kind of scenarios about whether this would be an act of non-compliance when it comes to AI use. So I want you to put a thumbs up if you think it is compliant, thumbs down if you don't think it's compliant in the chat, and then Daniela can make sure that I don't miss anything there. So Alex is super short on time. Yeah, paste a client email thread into a free AI tool to clean it up and make it more professional. The email includes the client's name, company, and details about a contract issue. It's not the contract, it's just a contract issue. Is this breaking AI compliance? What do you think? Yeah, Kirsty? What do you think, Daniela?
Yes, because of the client's name and company.
Yeah, we suddenly have identifiable kind of things in a free tool that you don't really know how it works. And it's an unapproved public AI tool. Yeah. So, how could that escalate? So, even small details can qualify as confidential or personal data. So, even though it wasn't the whole contract, even though it was just maybe a first name, for example, it's still identifiable in the grand scheme. And what this is actually called, if you or an employer or an employee uses AI just to as an off kind of thing, it's called shadow AI use. So it's not regulated within an organization, your own business, or kind of processes. And that is one of the most common compliance failures because we don't even realize that by just, oh, I'm just going to whack it in this tool, it says it does that. We're not looking at the data. All of a sudden, we're breaching GDPR, we're breaching intellectual property rules. And this level of non-compliance will soon be regulated. Yeah. So we need to fix our kind of the way that we do this moving forward. So what about this one? A manager uses an AI tool to shortlist candidates from 200 CVs. They review the top 10 results, but don't look at the rejected applicants because the AI already filtered them objectively. What do you think? I need to have like a countdown, like doo 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 boo. I need to have like the countdown. Not looking for built-in bias. Kirsty, non-compliant, needs oversight. Agree with Honey, it's unfair. This is actually compliant. Yeah. because it is a internal tool that is approved to be used, and the parameters that the system has filtered people out by have been set by the organization. Yeah. You could claim it is borderline because they haven't done the human review element, and that it kind of doesn't meet meaningful oversight. But realistically, this is actually compliant. Yeah. But if challenged, the organization would need to be able to explain or justify why certain candidates were excluded. So if you don't know how the tech works, you're not going to be able to be compliant in that way. But the actual act, yeah, it's kind of compliant. So a company introduces an AI tool that analyzes employee emails and chat messages to improve productivity, but employees are actually only told it's for operational efficiency. Is this compliant? No
I'm gonna
times a
guess
million.
no. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to put times four. But I'm guessing no. Let's see what.
Yeah, it is not compliant but it may not be for the reason you think. The issue here is consent. Yeah. So employees would need to because it is their data. So even though it is like an organization, the fact that this is quite an intrusive piece of technology, it is directly scanning and monitoring, they would need to be asked if they wanted to be enrolled in this kind of process. Now, I can tell you that there's probably 80% of organizations that use AI tools for productivity have not asked their employee base. It's a huge thing that is going to be pulled in. Yeah, even though it is work data, yes, especially because your email is logged to you. So a person could actually go and have a look through the kind of two different things. Fairly similar
Would
between the
the
two.
Sorry, Robin, would the
That's okay.
organization have to provide some form of disclosure? And so, as opposed to if they're getting away with not asking for consent, would they at least have to be like, this is something that we do?
So it's non-compliant because they haven't asked for consent.
Okay,
So they would have to basically say, this is the tool, this is how it works, and this is the reason why. That is
okay.
why we are doing this. And the reason would have to be worded like it's to improve productivity, not operational efficiency, because that is like a gray area. It doesn't really mean anything, right? And this could escalate even further because realistically, this can violate data protection, employment law, labor laws, especially where explicit consent is required when accessing data. So the improved operational efficiency is also without consent. Yes, so you would have to be told. So you would have to be told why the AI tool is being implemented, what the AI tool does, and what it has access to. And if it is specifically to monitor a person, they would have to be looped in and consent would have to be acquired. Now, this is one of the things that is an incredible gray area when it comes to regulation. So it falls under non-compliance, but because regulation and things like that are slow and are always changing because the tech is always changing, we need to wait kind of a little bit of time until there's kind of clear guidelines. But realistically, it is non-consent when it comes to AI use within an organization. Now, do you think this one is compliant? This covers all emails and all staff can generate and view the summaries. How does this? That's totally fine because you're just using it to look at the data and summarize. You're not making decisions on any person's efficiency based on that data. because that data isn't enough to actually truly understand if a person is productive or not. Summary, totally fine. Yeah. So Priya needs to write a first draft of a product update for her internal team. She opens an improved company-provided AI tool and asks it to help me draft a clear project update based on these bullet points. She provides high-level, non-sensitive information. Before sending the update, she reviews the content for accuracy, adjusts the tone to match her team, removes anything that feels unclear or misleading. The final message is sent with Priya taking full responsibility. Is this compliant? Oh, you already all ahead of me. You must have read the thing while I was answering the questions. Yeah, absolutely, Annabelle. She wasn't clear on her use. Yeah. But overall, this is compliant. So as you can see, it's a bit of a grey area in some instances. But when we look at traditional kind of consent, access to data, the regulations we have access to that impact us now, we need to make sure that we are doing things like using an approved AI tool, making sure we're not giving any kind of identifiable information, making sure people who are using the tool know they are using the tool and why that tool is being used. Yeah. So this example, it follows like the key responsible use principles: no sensitive data, human oversight, AI user support, and an approved tool. So this is what good AI use usually looks like in practice. Obviously, Penny brought up that we could add in a little bit more about how we use the AI and obviously make sure that is compliant too. And we want the risk to stay low. We want the responsibility to stay clear. It's about using it intentionally. Yeah. So if I ask you a very, very quick question, what's the smallest change here that could make this non-compliant? What is something that Priya could do that all of a sudden this very beautiful, compliant use of AI suddenly stops being compliant? Doesn't review for accuracy. Yeah. Wasn't an approved tool. Yeah. Uses sensitive data. Yeah. You've got all three. Absolutely. So if she had used a public tool, she'd added client details, or she sent without review. Now, when we're really quick, we're trying to use AI tools really, really like, yeah, let's just get this out. Let's get it out the door. We often forget to hit these kind of responsibility that we actually have when it comes to using AI. So now we know what it does. We know kind of how we use it already in everyday AI kind of use processes. We've looked at compliance and regulation. How do we actually talk to it? Yeah. And the four easiest things that you need to do to improve your use of AI is to give it context. The amount of people that say to me, oh, it doesn't get it. And I'm like, well, what did you ask it? And I'm like, write me a blog about butterflies. I'm like, okay, great. That is going to be the most vague, boring, like word mush because you haven't given it anything to truly sink its teeth into. So AI is only as helpful as the instructions it's given. It's the only way it knows what we want. Yeah. So when we say it doesn't work, we just haven't been clear. Yeah. So good prompting, it's about clear communication. So what is going on? Tell the AI the situation or the purpose. I need to write an update for my team about a delayed project. Suddenly it knows the what. Yeah. What do I actually want it to do? I need to be explicit about my action. Summarize the key points and suggest a clear structure. If I'm asking it to write a LinkedIn profile, who is it for? Why am I doing it? What is the purpose of me creating this wonderful content that I'm about to put out into the world? Yeah. We need to give it these boundaries, this understanding, this relevance of its output. Give it a constraint. Tell it what you don't ever want it to do, and you don't want it to kind of add in. Tell it what it needs to follow. Set boundaries for tone, length, audience, risk. Yeah. Keep it professional, non-technical, and under 200 words. Because all of a sudden, the output that you're going to get is actually truly useful. Yeah. You can start to actually use it. Now, I also need you to check, how will we use this output? Because we need to keep this AI grounded. Yeah. This will be reviewed by me before sending. So a weak prompt would be, write an email about AI. Oh, great. It's going to be wishy-washy, the most basic kind of thing ever. Instead, if I asked it, draft a short, friendly email explaining an upcoming AI literacy webinar to non-technical professionals, avoid jargon, keep it under 150 words, and make it reassuring rather than hype-driven. Yeah. Because AI is responding technically to what we ask. It predicts responses on the words we use, the order we use them, the constraints we set. So clear prompts remove ambiguity, which reduces the chance of irrelevant, overconfident, or misleading outputs. Yeah. So that's how we need to talk to it. Now we know what it does, how we can use it, and how we need to be safe. We need to talk to it in a way that it understands, so it can start to actually generate useful things rather than, okay, Annabelle. So in tokenization, what happens is the sentences that we give it, it breaks down into a language it understands. Now, the order of relevance is taken purely from the beginning to the end. The information you put at the beginning holds a higher weight than the information that is at the end or towards the tail end of tokenization. So anything you really need it to focus on, stick at the beginning of your prompt. Yeah. So some mistakes you want to avoid is being vague. Don't ask it a million things at once. It's like it needs to go forward. Yeah, it needs one thing to focus on. And don't treat the final response as, don't treat your first response, as your final. Yeah. And again, don't, make sure we're looking at safety and responsible AI use. So AI adds value in different places than we add value. So AI is powerful, but it's not what we have as intelligence. You need to remember that this technology excels in certain conditions and struggles badly in others, just as we do. Yeah, knowing the difference is what separates you using it effectively against risky use and non-purposeful use. So AI adds value by handling volume and repetition. This is its bread and butter. This is what it is born to do. This is its favorite thing to do. Spotting patterns, summarizing, telling you what's going on. Yeah, because it's very good at handling large amounts of information and repeated patterns. It's great at this because AI doesn't get bored. Yeah. So pattern recognition at scale is exactly what it was built for. It's great at speeding up that first iterance. So it helps us to move past that blank page, drafting emails, brainstorming ideas. AI generates plausible starting points quickly, which then gives us something to react to, refine, or reject straight away. And it's also great at spotting patterns. So it surfaces things that we tend to miss or takes a long time for us. So forecasting, customer behavior analysis. Machines can process more variables at once than humans can reasonably hold in our heads. Yeah. So let it do the stuff it's good at. Whereas we are good at judgment and accountability. AI doesn't understand consequences. Hiring decisions, disciplinary actions, strategy, legal advice, they all need to be dealt with by a human with experience and expertise. Only humans can take responsibility, weigh trade-offs, and justify decisions ethically and legally. Yeah. It also doesn't understand context, nuance, or values. So it doesn't understand intent. Yeah. And it doesn't understand what should matter. So sensitive conversations, leadership communication, and negotiations, they're all human. Yeah. Meaning isn't just in words or the probability of words. It's actually in relationships, timing, and trust. Yeah. We also need to think that AI can't do creativity. So AI recombines what already exists. And true creativity involves intent, risk, lived experiences, not just pattern mixing. Yeah. And if the task requires responsibility, ethics, or has consequences, the human is in charge, always. If the task is about speed, scale, or structure, AI supports us here. Yeah. So the goal is never replacement, it's augmentation with intention. So we do this great and we have to do this. But if we can do this quicker to allow us to do this better, of course, put AI as the interim. Yeah. So what I want you to think about now is how do you build your first AI workflow? So we know what it does. We know what it can't do. We know where we're experiencing it already. We know how to use it responsibly. We know how to talk to it. Yeah. Now, how do we build our first kind of AI workflow? And there's 5 easy key steps. What do you want it to do? What do you need it to do? What is the task that you need it to fulfill that will make your Mondays much better? A lot of people start with a tool. They've put in ChatGPT, they pay for ChatGPT, so now they're just going to try and ChatGPT everything, but actually that is not the task they need to fulfill. We also need to decide where AI helps and where it doesn't. Yeah, so is it a human that needs to do this? Is it an AI that can do this? Where do I need to have a human stop? We also need to prepare the data, so make sure it is compliant. We need to use a clear and simple prompt. And then we also need to review like a human because we are one. Yeah. Now, when you've got this process, so if you know that every week you have a meeting on a Thursday where there's a lot of notes from a lot of different people, and you're going to use AI to summarize it, and then you're going to check it and send it out, reuse this workflow. Yeah. So wherever you've got this workflow in a chat, just tell it to do it again. It's already learned how to do it. You've told it, you've given it the constraints. So you don't have to keep opening up new chats, keep opening new workflows. If it's there, just give it the new information and it will repeat that process for you. You don't need complex systems or huge, powerful, really expensive pieces of technology to start. You just need a clear task, a safe boundary, and a human review step. Yeah. Start small, get comfortable, and then build from there. So that is the end of what I'm going to say today. But we do have this glorious little Slack channel, which is the AI Exchange, and it's totally free. It's supported by Oxford College of Marketing and Management and OxPE overall. And it's just a place where I put all the things that are going on in the AI world into, and we can kind of talk together. So thank you so much for your time today.
Hi, hello everyone. It was great to have that session. I know I definitely did screenshot some bits throughout that I will be implementing into my work. Very handy. I love the way that I hop into these sessions and I'm like, yeah, I'm here for you guys, but I'm also kind of like, yeah, there's lots to take away, which is very handy.
Oh,
But
amazing.
yeah, I'm dropping a few bits into the chat. So previously, oh, bear with me. So I've dropped a link for our AI short courses that we currently offer at the College of Technology. And what that covers in terms of topics, we have a wide variety. So we have AI in banking and finance, AI in business analysis, cybersecurity, education, and healthcare. There is also a practitioner qualification, which is the longer course that you can always take up as well as an alternative if you're looking to upskill specifically in the topic of AI. Um, if you're a marketer and you're looking to learn a little bit more about AI in relation to your marketing role, then there is also the AI accredited award, which is CIM accredited. So both qualifications are internationally recognized and would definitely help you in upskilling that knowledge and also having something that you can add to your CV. Thank you so much, Angela. Thank you so much. Tanya, thank you, Gabby, as well. It's been lovely having you on. Robyn, do you know off the top of your head what the next topic will be?
We've got some really good ones coming up. So we're gonna create our own ChatGPT agents together, and kind of bring how you can truly build out those kind of things. We're gonna look at building some things out in Perplexity. So it's a lot of building on the kind of stuff that we've done today. Nick, just wanted to put my question about tokenization. Can a prompt be too long? Yes. Yeah. Every platform has a specific premium tokenization length. I always say a paragraph is probably your biggest amount of information. But remember, the larger the tokenization, the more it forgets within that question. Yeah. So try and be as succinct while giving it the biggest information it has. And another point there is if you have like projects or like folders with loads of information in, it also has a max tokenization in there. So if you're using the same folder, maybe for the same project over and over again, and you've given it loads of PDFs, loads of information, the further you continue to talk about that, it starts to forget that older information. So it's just to know that there is a tokenization limit. You can literally Google the length of the different tokenizations limits for ChatGPT, Claude, or Perplexity, or Copilot, whichever you kind of sit within.
Great. Thank you so much, Nick. Great.
Yeah, so you can use a workflow repetitively. So if you've taught it to do X, Y, and Z with this information within a chat, but if you've spoken to it over 3 years, it don't remember what you fed it the first time. So you will have to refeed it that kind of data moving forward.
Perfect. Great. Very, very interesting. Thank you, Satvinder. It's been lovely having you on. But yeah, more than happy to wrap up for today and then I hopefully see you. Let me just quickly pinpoint the date for the next webinar. Where am I? Where's my...
Oh, someone's give a question in the Q&A. In your opinion, do we have more protection in the paid version? Always. You have more choice on whether you train the data or not. Free versions, because it's free, your data is often used to train the model. So yeah, always go for if you can, a paid version will always protect you much more.
Doesn't it also mean it's private as well? So everything that you're inputting stays within perfect. Good.
Yeah,
Just double checking.
you have the choice to turn it on or off in your settings, whereas on a free version, no, not a lot. Yeah, as Mark says, always check the terms and conditions there.
Definitely. Yes, so our next session will be on January 26th. So looking forward to seeing you all then.
Yes, have an amazing 2 weeks, and I'll see you.